Hi, everybody. This is your friend and host for Life and Finances with Sacrifice and Service. Now, for me, this is still a relatively new thing that I'm doing with the podcast and then with the YouTube items every week. And I just ran a double check, and lo and behold, I realized that this program is my 21st. I never thought that I would even get past five, and here I am doing number 21. And you know what? At my age, this is something new and different. And what I've learned is that being consistent is how you do everything. And I think somebody said just how you do anything is how you do everything. And I want to say to those of you out there, you have dreams, goals, vision, aspiration, and you're just sitting down on it. With all of this lockdown going on, there's more time on your hand than you've ever had. And you know what? Figure out what to do with the time. Put the time to use. Put down Netflix. Forget about all the other time-consuming things which doesn't grow those brain cells. And so I want to encourage you, if little old me could be consistently producing and doing this program. Now, ultimately, I have to lay hands on a decent camera, and then I will start doing on camera maybe after another 10 or 12 of these, after I guess perfect what it is I'm doing before moving on to the next stage. Of course, I'm not getting the 1,000 viewers and all the other things that you would like to see happen. But for me, it's a message, and hopefully it'll catch on, even if it's just one person grab it and run with it. Now, the topic I'm looking at today is, hey, pandemic money conversation with your child. I did some little research and say, hey, how far back can we document any pandemics? And when I did the look back and the research, the first one that I found was 430 BC, 430 years before Christ came, and it was the Peloponnesian War. And of course, a lot of times disease moves with wars, and that's when most of North Africa lost two-thirds of their population, Egypt, Ethiopia, Libya, that particular region. And when historians look back now, they realize, oh my goodness, that probably was typhoid fever based on the symptoms that's described in the writings from the generations that followed. Then you have the Anton pandemic, which was 165 AD. Actually, the Antonine plague, which was 165 AD. And that ran for 15 years, which was 165 years after Christ. Then, of course, you had the third one that I documented, was 250 AD, which was 250 years after Christ, and that was the Cyprian plague. Partly to blame for it, oftentimes it's city dwelling, because you're in a clustered situation. And then, of course, today you can be in Nassau this afternoon, and tomorrow evening you can be in Sydney, Australia. Now, we live in the hurricane belt, and we've become accustomed to things being cyclical. Just how hurricanes move in a cycle, you have a 10-year storm, a 20-year storm, a 50-year storm, 75 and 100-year. And 75, Dorian is believed to have been a 75-year storm. That's a storm that comes every 75 years. Then, of course, in our case, with all of the cutting down of hills for fill, and then the digging and dredging with all these canals, and of course other things, disallow, water to just intrude to areas and making us vulnerable, taking more lives. But it is what it is. Now, as we look at this pandemic, it is presenting some massive challenges. You see students are doing classes online. And I did a presentation some months back with saying private school fees, should I pay or not to pay? And I think this stands out as to why you should, if you can afford, put your child in a private school, because many of those in the public system in a situation where I've seen parents rowing, parents crying, parents pulling their hair out. Mostly female, the parents, they're going to be more emotional as they express themselves, and the children aren't getting on the platform, getting in, and they're missing classes like crazy, and so it has a lot of parents upset. Now, of course, the cry and the plea from the private school kids are, and parents is that, hey, they're getting too much work, too much homework. And you'd prefer to be in a situation where you're getting too much work than in one where you can't get on and have any work at all. Now, one of the most difficult tasks for many persons is, hey, facing their children and then trying to break down to them, hey, what's our financial situation? Why things are the way they are? This take me back to a time when my youngest son, who is now 15 years old, he was 7 or 8 at the time, and my wife and I was having this conversation, and it was one of those 3 month stretch that probably was a little rough for us. And so we were both saying, oh boy, we're a bit to the broke side. When I looked, my son went to his room, came back out and brought $60 and said, hey, Daddy, you all could use this. Of course, I looked at him shocked and surprised and then burst out laughing. But that's how it is. Children would hear and cannot fully understand and comprehend exactly what's going on. So now this pandemic money conversation with your child or your children. First of all, to have this conversation, find yourself a comfortable place, a comfortable setting, familiar environment, whether it's the bedroom, whether it's outside on the porch, in the back patio, or in the car, on the beach or something like that. And in many cases, you may need to have more than one conversation because you don't want to overwhelm them. The second thing is make the conversation age appropriate. So therefore, you don't have to have nitty-gritty details. I reassure them that everything will be all right. Don't be negative. Let them know their needs will be met. Now, if you're receiving government assistance, that's NIB, social services, the food program, explain to them society's safety nets, where when people are down on the luck for a while, hey, these are the things that you'd use. Now, if you're speaking to an older child, lay out the challenges that's ahead for you and for you all. And of course, again, don't be nitty-gritty. Then reference things in the past when you all overcame difficult situations, maybe a serious illness, maybe even death in the family or previous job loss. Now, don't reference specific bills or time frames. And remember, don't overwhelm them. Remain calm, level-headed, and stay resolved towards the future. Then with the really older children or someone at the borderline in terms of adult or an adult child, talk with them about some possible solutions. So like, hey, planning the meals ahead instead of just opening the fridge, say what I can cook today. Take the entertainment outdoors and look at ways to under consume. And by that I mean, hey, you can cut back the electricity, less trips in the car, saving gas, things of that nature. And of course, you have a teachable moment. And with the teachable moment, this is teaching them to adapt to change. And it's also helping them by having that conversation. It helps them to meet life's issues and problems head on. It's a good time also to teach them the value of money, difference between goods and services, and how much money is in terms of earning compared to hours and its impact on society. And then the next final thing to get them to realize that, hey, money is only a tool or a resource, just like a hammer or a toolkit. And then another item is, with the teachable moment, is lay out a budget. Teach them and express to them how to go about planning a budget. And in the same instance, you can express your own feelings, but exude with confidence, show a level of certainty, and then explain how you plan to improve the situation, and definitely make them aware of their needs versus their want. And also, as you go forward now, you got to have future goals, and part of this is reinforcement or preparation for future. And here's what I mean. You're going to look at 3 things with the children, especially those of you who are Christian parents. Now, hey, you want the child to have A decision for Jesus, and you may have to make that decision yourself. A decision for Jesus. And what I mean by that is making a decision within yourself, expressing it publicly, and then committing your life to Jesus so that in your daily walk, that's where you go. So you want them as they go towards adulthood, that they are going towards having that in their mind as they grow. A decision for Jesus. Then there's the preparation for life's occupation slash profession. And times like this right now, children are looking around. They'll look across the way and say, oh my goodness, our neighbor is a lawyer, but he isn't going to work and he doesn't seem to be on good times right now because with all the lockdowns, he can't go to work. Then they look across the way and they see, okay, the doctor is going. They look across, they see the policeman is going. Then they look within their own home and see that their parents who are carpenters, they are going to work on the construction site. So that'll impact possibly how they will look in terms of preparation for life's occupation. And then afterwards they start doing the things that will prepare them for the occupation that they want to have in the future. Then the third item under that reinforcement and preparation for the future is preparation for a life's mate. And of course, to be a good husband or wife, you have to have preparation yourself. So when you do come across that individual. So the three things are for the reinforcement and preparation for the future is a decision for Jesus, preparation for life's occupation or profession, and preparation for life's mate. And in so doing this, you will raise a person first and foremost by having that conversation that's financially literate. And then the second thing, they have the Christian values in place. So you have a Jesus-focused person with financial literacy, and that person can make a difference and bring about the change that our country so desperately, I should say changes that our country so desperately need. As we look at it, changes you have maybe in our educational system, changes in the health system and structure, the changes in terms of the way political power sharing in the society, on and on, just numerous changes in terms of the pursuit of financial literacy of the masses as you continue to go on. So as a financially literate nation can produce a prosperous and a strong nation. So until next time, may the God of heaven and his Son, the Christ, bless and prosper you.